Thank you very much, everyone. Today I would like to introduce my company Liom to you and share that we're working on developing the world's first non-invasive glucose monitoring health wearable. So what will our product look like? It will have the typical sort of health markers you would know from today's smartwatches, like heart rate variability, skin temperature, movement, that you would derive from so-called PPG sensors that you would find in a Whoop, Aura, Fitbit, etc. But it would be also complemented by the world's first needle-free CGM, so-called continuous glucose monitoring. And we will do it in a universal appeal that we will first target consumers with because we cracked the science, and I will show this to you in a second, behind calibration-free non-invasive sensing, meaning that you never need to prick to provide a baseline, but you just take out the watch from a package and it works. We want to really target the 10x bigger market of consumers to help healthy people not become sick in the first place. And we don't just measure glucose, we have a multi-analyte platform that measures basically everything that's abundantly concentrated and light reactive enough. And with that, glucose for us is just the beginning. And as we put this wearable on people's wrists, they will be sharing the data with us to be able to send them over-air updates of additional markers. We have planned here actually to do macronutrients next, which we already identified in the lab, being protein and fat, to really complement the full dietary pie chart of food intake and help people to manage their weight, manage their muscles, maybe retain muscles during taking of GLP-1s, etc. And we're quite excited about this platform approach. So let's jump to the most important thing. So many people try to solve this so-called holy grail of non-invasive sensing. Many of them, so far, to our knowledge, all of them failed. And I want to share with you the results of our last 2 batches of clinical trials. This was an external retrospective study done on 14 subjects in March this year, where we measured every 5 minutes, both with a catheter, venous blood draw, and with our through-the-wrist measurements. And we had a very high diversity in age. There were type 1 and 2 diabetics in there, and various skin type, Fitzpatrick skin types 1 to 4. And we achieved, with calibration, an error, or so-called MARD, which stands for mean absolute relative difference, which is a term to define performance in CGM, of 7.3, which is actually better than Abbott's and Dexcom's ARM needle-based devices. But what's much more exciting is that without calibration, we achieved a 20.5% MARD, and these are the graphs that you see here. So basically the black dots being the catheter-derived venous blood draws, and the pink dots being our purely light, knowing nothing about the subject estimations. And this, to our knowledge, not even a single company has done so far in vitro, proving fully calibration-free. And then we did a prospective study, which is sort of the highest study design you can do. And we measured 5 subjects, 3.5 to 5 hours, and achieved really excellent agreement between our estimates and the venous blood draws, and achieved a calibration-free MARD of 14.5. Obviously, we had improved our algorithms since the study in March. And we have submitted this for publication, and you can find the preprint for the publication either on this link, or there has been a press release actually issued yesterday where you can also click through the preprint of the publication. And just to give you an idea where this compares in terms of performance, so when Abbott and Dexcom, the big duopoly of CGM that cater specifically or predominantly to people dosing insulin based on this, launched, they were in their teens in terms of the error to the venous chemical gold standard blood analyzer. Now they are sub 10. We achieved a calibration requiring MARD in September in the low teens last year, and then in November, sub 10, in February, 7.3, in March we did the first calibration-free 25, then 20.5, then now 14.5. So as you can see, we advanced relatively quickly in improving that MARD. So we not only repeatedly measured glucose non-invasively and calibration-free, we even constantly improved our performance by changing hardware and software at the same time. And this really, for us, makes already, even with the 14.5, a very strong consumer device for people that will not dose insulin. And we actually rather see us partnering with one of these diagnostic companies to give them the medical application for dosing insulin as our market drops further, while we want to focus on the consumer side of things. And so how will our device look like in terms of final rendering? You see it here. It's a combination between light or spectroscopy and machine learning. And we have just shy of 24 patents on the spectroscopy side. So we have patents for the spectrometer, for the light source and the light detector, as well as the skin interface, where we have scientists that have developed this over almost 7 years now. And on the machine learning side, we have a lot of trade secrets to create really robustness or solving this mathematically complex problem of calibration-free estimations, i.e. identifying a known variable in its absolute concentration in the presence of unlimited changing unknown confounders, which is a very complex problem, leading to the fact that our machine learning team is actually our largest team by far in the company. And we have used from the beginning technologies that are inherently miniaturizable. Many startups, for example, they use like a quantum cascade laser, which has just never been miniaturized before and requires a lot of battery power. So we have chosen techniques that are inherently miniaturizable with the idea to put it in a wearable as the ultimate sort of way to give people access to the longitudinal health data in real time, which I guess can empower many other applications that you're hearing about here today. And we are trying to be as smart as we can be in system design and integration, and really only inventing the wheel from scratch where we need to, and otherwise system integrate advanced technologies that are, for example, really advanced further by self-driving cars or smartphones, to not basically take unnecessary risk given the high deep tech risk we took from the beginning. And so what we basically want to do is we want to take the wearables market on the left side. We want to take the continuous glucose monitoring market that all have their, what we say, limitations in terms of the wearables don't really provide you with proper biophysical information. And the medical market is sort of really invasive. And we want to combine both and address what we map as an over $500 billion TAM total addressable market just between the US and Europe of biohackers and people that want to manage their weight on the one side, which is 370-ish million people, as well as 230 million plus individuals that are at risk at developing diabetes. And so then once we enter this market with just, this is our launch market, glucose only, we want to basically build on top of this with additional markers. And so how would the UX look like? So if you combine glucose and things like heart rate for the first time on one device, you will be able to actually derive quite unique features that otherwise you wouldn't be able to derive from today's offerings. And we're actually going to launch this app in April, now in a few months, to already start optimizing and testing our app for people that wear existing CGM plus a smartwatch, so that by the time that 2 years later our wearable launches, we don't have to figure out the UI UX on the fly while marketing a very expensive, while operating an expensive marketing machine. So one of the features would, for example, be to categorize your glucose spike. So is it a spike because of stress or because of sports, or is it a spike because of food? Today you have to log this manually. We can do this automatically. So you would have a more accurate picture of your physiology. You would also know the impact of your behavior on your body better. So for example, we can tell people how long they need to exercise to be in an optimal metabolic health range again. And there are a couple of really cool features which I can't show today, which we're actually discussing with the FDA right now, that go far, far beyond that to really give you this understanding. And we will also then tailored on your specific glucose concentration at various times in the day and your metabolic health during those times, provide you with an LLM-supported advisory mechanism of what's really good for you in terms of exercise, diet, etc. So this all would not have been possible, obviously, without our team. We've been working at this in a few days, exactly 7 years, with over 50 PhDs. We have now 80 plus full-time staff in the company, of which around about 78 are based in Pfäffikon, just outside of Zurich in Switzerland, and 4 in San Francisco. The former do R&D, the latter product and design. And we really felt compelled to combine all the scientific disciplines that are needed under one roof to solve this complex problem of non-invasive calibration-free sensing. And so we have a big software and ML engineering team. We have a biophotonics team. We have a product and design team, a system integration team, a biomedical sciences team, an optics and photonics engineering team, electronical engineering, product development and manufacturing, and a couple of these like business guys like myself that try to keep the whole four together. It really takes a village to solve this complex problem. And so, so far we have funded the company with $55 million to date, which we regard as a Swiss startup as very sizable, but yet quite resourceful for 7 years of running a now 80 people team, clinical trials, ISO certification, building laboratories, etc. And we just kicked off a $50 to $70 million funding round, which we call our Series A. We will launch our app in Q2, as I mentioned, then bring our device on the wrists of people 2 years after that, and then we'll have it licensed for medical use and consumers in the US 2.5 years later. We are quite excited about the opportunity of building potentially what could become a $1 trillion plus company from the center of Europe. And if you want to discuss this, please get in touch. Thank you.